I wanted to look at a slightly different situation that relates to the ramp lab that we did. And I have a graph of position versus time, and clearly the object is changing velocity. I'm still going to say it's accelerating because the position versus time is not this nice linear plot. So we want to know two things. Number one, is the object speeding up or slowing down? Number two, is the object moving forwards or backwards? So take a look at this first question. Is the object speeding up or is it slowing down? Well, the answer is the object is slowing down. And let's talk about why. Well, the reason is, let's go back to the buggy lab. When I want to know if something is going fast or slow, I look at the slope. So for example, if I were to go back to the buggy lab and draw a position graph like this and one like this, what we'd be able to do is say, hey, this is going slow and this is going fast. And that's it. Why? Because the slope of the faster graph is steeper. So look at this. Back to our example here. This part of the graph is very steep. This part is flatter. It's a position versus time graph. And what this tells us is the object is slowing down since it goes slower. Sorry, since slowing down because it goes slower. Slowing down since it goes less steep. The next question I want to answer is the object moving forwards or backwards? The next question we want to ask is the object moving forwards or backwards? Go ahead and take a guess now. So it turns out the object is actually moving backwards. And the reason we can tell is if we remember that the y-axis is like a ruler. Say, let's just pretend this is 100 and this is 0. What we see is that as time increases, the position of the object becomes less and less. So what that tells us is that we are moving towards the origin on the ruler. In other words, that's backwards. The next question we want to take a look at is, what would the velocity graph of this object look like? And this is a little trickier because here's the thing. The object is moving backwards and slowing down. So that means it starts off at a significant negative velocity and its speed approaches 0, like this. Finally, the last question we want to ask. What is the acceleration of the object? What is the sign of the object's acceleration? And why? Go ahead and answer that now. So, the acceleration of the object is determined by the slope of the velocity graph. And if we notice, the slope is positive, and that means the acceleration is positive. And this is a problem because what we're saying is that something can slow down and its acceleration can be positive. And that's really a tricky idea. So the last question I want to ask is, how can or why is it that the acceleration is positive in this graph? And the answer to this question is that the acceleration basically is slowing down a negative velocity. So acceleration makes the velocity less negative. In other words, it's going really fast in a backwards direction, and then it goes slower in a negative direction. So the acceleration has to push the object forward. And this is a very tricky idea that I don't think we can really get from a video. But I do want to emphasize this idea. It is in fact possible to have a positive acceleration and an object slow down.